And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it may be. I hope you guys are having a wonderful time with us here on the Heroes Premier League Season 2. The official season is finally underway after a long, grueling qualifier session that lasted for 2 months. It's finally time to get down to the nitty-gritty. The wheels are on the road. I am Shane Gucher. With me is Haas. We are getting into Game 2 between these teams, Murloc Inc. and Synapsis. Murlocs Inc. showing why they are considered one of the better North American teams. They've been showing a lot of signs of success. They've gotten really deep into the ESL Go for Pros. I know they're in ESL Major. They were in the Titan Arena. They were playing in the Titan Arena. So they're definitely trying to show their stuff off today against this rather new team, Synapsis, formerly known as Heroes Hype. Unfortunately, they disbanded, had a little bit of a roster change, and looks like they just haven't hit their stride quite yet. What are you thinking for the next game here, Toss? Let me see what we're gonna do.
We are playing on Cursed Hollow.
There it is.
So Synapsis, I wouldn't say they had a weak draft. I'd say they just played their draft a little bit lacklustery, if that's a word. They left it with a little bit more to be desired. And this time Murlocs have the first ban with first pick. Last time they banned Hammer, they're doing exactly the same this time.
Yep.
But what does Synapsis do now? They banned Illidan last time.
Mm-hmm.
They could, in theory, leave it open, risk Murlocs taking it, and then just maybe take away Rhaegar Tassadar or something like that. We saw they actually liked playing Tassadar. Hokfu played it last game. In fact, they first picked it. But then they risk giving away Vala. There's a lot of options here to ban. They could go for an ETC. They could go for a Diablo ban. It's not unheard of. A Gazebo ban maybe. There's a lot of options for them, and they know this, and that's why they're taking their time.
Well, I can tell you, looking over Murloc's drafts recently, they put a lot of priority on to Illidan, even more so than a lot of teams. I was noticing that if they would just either ban him out on some maps, specifically maps like Sky Temple or Haunted Mines, and if they have first pick, they will almost first pick him 100% of the time. They have been drafting a little differently than what I've been seeing from them the past month. I really haven't seen that many hammer bans coming out of them. Maybe in scrims, they were playing against some hammer strats they were having a hard time with. And so, yeah, they're definitely adjusting their drafting style here, at least from what they've been doing, what they've been trending the past couple of weeks. So they're banning out the hammer, and then the first pick Vala, which I think is a very, overall a very good and consistent pickup for your first pick.
Yep, it means that you've got that tier 1 ranged assassin on your team straight away. And there's not much more you need, but this now leaves Synapsis open. They could go Rhaegar Illidan or Illidan Tassadar.
Yep. And that's a very strong combination. I was about to say, or ETC. So they're going with the ETC Rhaegar. Now, don't forget, Tassadar is still open, and so is Illidan. And if Synapsis are able to get their hands on ETC, Rhaegar, Illidan, Tassadar, that is an amazingly strong composition. But Murloc Inc. is on to the shenanigans. And there they go, picking up exactly what I thought Synapsis was going to get their hands on, picking up the Tassadar and Illidan. The reason we see Illidan and Tassadar picked up so much, Haas, I know you already know, is that Tassadar complements Illidan's skill set so very well. He mitigates a lot of the damage that is done to him, and gives him that extra length of time for him to get enough auto attacks off to get several rotations of his
skill set.
Oh my gosh, thank you. For some reason, I wanted to say tool set, something like that. You guys know what I'm trying to say here. And that's why we see Tassadar picked up with Illidan so much, and same with Rhaegar, though. They're not going to get the holy trinity of the Illidan, Tassadar, and Rhaegar. It's always a very, very potent combination. So both teams already have very strong rosters so far.
Yeah, it's not only so potent, that holy trinity, as you said, just because of the support that everything goes on to Illidan. It's the fact that Rhaegar as a solo healer isn't the best.
Yeah.
You have obviously that ancestral healing, so you can put one player up to full health, but apart from that, your chain heal, it's not ideal, so having the Tassadar would give you that extra bit of healing alongside the healing ward. But Synapsis don't have that. They're going to go for Jaina again here.
Okay. Against an Illidan. That's interesting. I feel like Illidan can make Jaina's life a living hell. I guess you could say Jaina can really mess with Illidan as well, as long as she's landing her Blizzards and Cone of Colds and utilizing them and not being, too liberal with the applications of her Cone of Cold. I could see if a really, really good Jaina player with phenomenal positioning and knowing her timings on when to use Cone of Cold and reserving her Cone of Gold for the right times could definitely punish an Illidan, but I feel like the Illidan is going to come out of that match ahead a majority of the time.
It's an interesting one here, because usually to counter Illidan, or at least back pre-2015, so towards the end of last year, you'd see
yes.
when Brightwing was prominent, it was Brightwing Uther. you'd see Brightwing taken straight away at the first sign of an Illidan. Because Illidan jumps in, there's a polymorph straight away, there's a rewind polymorph. But obviously now Brightwing got nerfed a little bit, and we're seeing another hero we don't see too often in Synapsis with Raynor.
Yeah.
And Murlocs straight away going with the Uther. This stops Synapsis going for a second healer here, and that second healer would have been Uther, who again is pretty strong against Illidan. Illidan jumps in, you stun him straight away.
So now Illidan has that burst healing that is so crucial to keeping him alive. He has the damage mitigation that's so crucial to help him keep him in the fight and get the rotations of his skills off. So this Illidan definitely has the what he needs around him to get this group project done in the office known as killing Synapsis. Their fifth pickup here, they definitely need a frontline warrior. Stitches is available, Diablo is available, Murden is available. What are you thinking they're going to go with here?
They were happy with the Diablo last time. It combos well with the Reign of Vengeance Valor, the Divine Storm Uther. It'd certainly be a pick which I wouldn't be surprised to see. I don't think we'll see a Stitches here. They're not running a pick comp. They're running a straight up, we're going to keep on chasing you down, and there it is, the Diablo.
Yep. Yeah, Diablo and Illidan, we see them paired up quite a bit just because they are just... I mean, you want to talk about the Jaina's life being a living hell. It has now exponentially gotten better.
Yes.
I mean, the Diablo grew up in the shadows, if you will. You know, unfortunately, I don't have a cup around me, else I do a Bane voice. But that Jaina is going to have both to deal with both the Diablo and the Illidan being on top of her at all times. You know, she has to deal with a cleanse from the Uther. It's going to be a very, very hard game for this Jaina unless she's played on just a almost perfect level right now. Looking at the Raynor pick, that's definitely something I want to talk about. Raynor was a hero that was changed recently. A little while he was bugged, and he was just banned out, even though it didn't make him horrendously overpowered or anything, but it definitely was a bug worth banning. He doesn't have that anymore, though. I mean, what do you think with this Raynor pick here, man? I feel like he's kind of a mediocre hero. I mean, I feel like even Falstad would have been a better choice than Raynor.
I completely agree. I'd compare Raynor to, like, the Lily of Assassins.
Right.
And they're going to go Brightwing. They're
Okay.
actually going to go Brightwing, so... Interesting. Like,
They have a global presence if ETC goes stage dive, and the map is Cursed Hollow. They do have that Brightwing obviously is going to bring the polymorph to the table for Illidan and Diablo, whichever one is kind of the bigger threat at the time. They don't have any shrink rays though. That's one thing I feel like that's really debilitates any sort of Illidan player is a shrink ray. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, they have no shrink ray on their team, so they're not going to have that to help deal with that Illidan at all.
Yeah, the one thing they do have, of course, though, is the polymorph. If Uther sprints in, he's going to get polyed. If Illidan jumps in, he's going to get polyed. And Murlocs obviously took away the Uther because they realized that if you're going to go Illidan, you don't want to go into stuns. Illidan is a little bit bugged right now. There is an underlying bug, which players do know about. Obviously, your Q can dodge stuns, but also your W can if you time it right. There was a big discussion over in the ESL EU chat, or just the EU players chat, about whether or not it's fair or not, and it came out like, it's okay, we'll let it through. So Uther obviously isn't that great a pick, so they've decided to go with the only support that was left, which was Brightwing to complement the Rhaegar, again touching upon what I said earlier about Rhaegar not being the strongest solo healer.
Now, Raynor's the new kind of thing that how he was changed is you can go with what you can call the Q build, which helps out his Q ability penetrating around. And I mean, I'm trying to think of its application in this team specifically to this match going on right now between these two teams. Obviously, you can get the double barrel talent. I believe that's at level 13 that gives him 2 charges of the Q, and it's a significant knockback. It's a skill shot. It's a little wider of a range. Rather, its width is a little wider than Snipe, but it's definitely not that wide of a ability at all. So it's definitely something you can't, just lackadaisically throw out and expect it's going to hit a whole bunch of people. But I mean, maybe they're going to utilize that penetrating round build as something to help deal with this Illidan in the backline. If he goes in there, he slides in there, you knock him away with the Q. He uses it again, you knock him away with the Q. That allows Jaina to get her spells off. I'm just kind of trying to think of what the decision was behind this Raynor pickup.
Yeah, and while we're talking about talents, I want to touch upon 2 here. Firstly, for Synapsis.
Oh wow, you're right.
Brightwing. Arcane Precision.
Huh.
On Cursed Hollow, where you have 4 bribable Merc camps, is definitely an interesting pick, especially because he's in that top lane and he's in the lane closest to the easy camp. We actually see a little bit of engagement down bot, but not too much is going on. But Brightwing, in this top lane, without Bribe, means that he loses a lot of pressure. Because once you TP down, ideally you'd want your easy camp push in that top lane.
Right.
But they don't have that luxury. And the other one I wanted to touch upon is the Illidan going Regen Master. So alongside the Tassadar and Uther, they have this really strong scaling late game.
And that's exactly what they did last game. They definitely have a trend of wanting to pick up those late game talents. They feel like that they have maybe a stronger late game, or just feel like that their early game can be so good that we don't have to get these early game talents to get ourselves an advantage. We can just build into late game talents and deal with the weakness anyways, and just secure our late game advantage through the choices that they're making so far. So definitely interesting, but the good old Mexican standoff in the bottom lane that seems to happen all of the time. It seems like teams just love to go bottom lane. They just, you know what, let's just go bottom lane, 3v3, no problem.
Well, you have the 50% chance, the good old RNG of the Tribute being in this bottom lane position.
Yes.
Most teams are more than happy to take that risk. Of course, they've got Brightwing in the top lane, have Synapsis, so they've got that pressure. And right away, Murlocs, with the help of a Tassadar shield, Clown is going to take away this easy camp.
Yep, a very good rotation. The moment that camp spawned, Tassadar retreated from the mid lane to give him a shield, and that was a very good timing from them. So obviously this is a little bit of a small tactic that they've been practicing, and we'll see how it pays off here, as if they can get this Siege Ogre camp and it starts to push in the bottom lane right as the first tribute spawns, especially depending on where the tribute spawns, it definitely could add a lot of pressure to the bottom lane, potentially pick off a tower if Murlocs Inc., or I'm sorry, Synapsis doesn't respond to it appropriately. Level 4 is here for both of the teams. Looking at the talents, Illidan's sticking, okay, so he didn't go with the shield evasion at level 1, which we see all the time, but he's going with immolation at level 4, which is pretty the standard build. Vala's going multi-shot, Diablo going with amplified healing, Farsight on the Rhaegar, and Envenom on Brightwing, so definitely a non-standard build with Brightwing, though Brightwing did consider get a significant nerf.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more of an aggressive approach from Brightwing with the extra damage on Arcane Precision and now Envenom at level 4.
Yeah, so with the Brightwing, because they have the Rhaegar as the main healer, Brightwing has a bit of freedom to go for this extra damage, and it will certainly help in trying to burst down that Illidan. Once you get that 16 talent in there where enemies polymorph take 25% damage, combine that with the huge burst coming out of Envenom, you can really melt an Illidan in that backline and isolate him so well. So they are also planning for the late game here, Synapsis.
Mad Timmy getting caught a little bit out of position. He does have Protective Shield. He doesn't have Cleanse quite yet. It's going to be close. He is going to get shielded up by Tassadar. So it's a real long chase after the Uther right there, but it's not going to translate into much. He's going to hit the showers and then help out his buddy Clown, who's got his clown shoes on, taking down this Bruiser camp. So right now, Murlocs have really good timings. Right before the first tribute, they picked up the Siege Ogre camp here in bottom lane. Now they immediately rotated over to this Bruiser camp, which is going to go to the mid lane, apply pressure mid lane, and the next tribute should be spawning any moment here. Looking at the level 7 talents right now, it looks like, yeah, it's going to be that penetrating rounds build that I was talking about a little bit before the game started. With the confident aim, which lowers the cooldown by 4 seconds if it hits a hero, and then it gives a hamstring shot, so it's not only is it a knockaway now, it's also a snare. And with the talent, the confident aim talent that he picked up at level 4, if he goes with the double shot at level 13 then, and he hits a hero, he can do 3 penetrating rounds back to back to back very, very quickly.
Yep, and we have the second tribute now spawning. The 2 healers are going at it in the bot lane, but of course this would favour the Brightwing because they have at least a second healer.
Yep.
Taking the Gust of Healing, so you're going to have that burst, but as soon as we say that, the tribute is gone. It's gone in the hands of Murlocs for this one, so we're 1-1 on tributes, and this is interesting. They're going to respond straight away with a boss. They have Tassadar, they have Vala. They're going to get joined by Diablo and Illidan here, making the most of the tribute being top and really applying a lot of map pressure right now.
It's just, you can tell, so, go to the camp, get the tribute, go to the camp, get the tribute, go to the camp, get the tribute. Mad Timmy, though, he's going to get taken out, so the first blood finally at the 5-minute mark, going to go the way of Synapsis. Something going a little bit more in their favor. That's definitely something they need, though for the next tribute, it's definitely going to be a big one, as both teams are going to have level 10. Uther is going to be up by the time that tribute spawns. Right down here mid lane, the ETC is going to get caught out of position. Caterpillars are going to shadow charge in there, but Hetrick, he's just going to go ahead and power slide right on out of there. Not worried about it. Level 10 talents are here for both teams. Right now, it looks like Battle Cruiser operational for the Rainer Haas.
Yep, you see Hyperion a lot more at the moment than Banshees because of the buff it did get in the recent patch. Brightwing going for the Emerald Wind again because he's not the main healer. The idea here is that Illidan jumps in straight past the Brightwing. Brightwing Emerald Winds away, so that Illidan is then isolated completely from his team. Third tribute of the game, it's not a big one here, because both teams are on one. Stage Dive coming in straight away with the Brightwing teleport.
A good Ancestral Healing is going to keep Hawkfu alive. Got to be careful, though. The Breathe Fire is just tearing them apart right there. Well positioned by Caterpillar and right in the choke point there, and that is just spelling disaster for Synapsis right there. A 4-for-1 exchange. They are going to be able to get this tribute. It's not going to be a curse, but big point right here, getting the boss completely uncontested. That's 2 bosses back to back.
Yep, and this is the stronger one for them. It is the enemy. They are denying this one away. Brightwing tried teleporting in at the beginning of that fight, but it was a little too late. Jaina got bursted down so quickly that Brightwing just wasn't able to assist her allies. This boss, it's going to go and slap a tower. That one will fall, and it's going to keep on moving and destroying everything in its path. Equinox, maybe not so much looking at his screen there. He was interrupted while basing. Spanker letting him get out of that one.
He did the good old Hearth Alt-Tab and check your Facebook strat right there,
yep.
Haas. That's what he was doing. One thing to note, I want to talk about the Illidan's build. We talked about how at level 1 he went with the Regeneration Master, which again, it is a defensive talent, which just like the other defensive talent that we normally see with the shield on evasion. But it scales a little bit more into late game. And then at level 7, he went with a non-defensive talent. Normally you see First Aid with Illidan at level 7. He went the Thrill of Battle. Normally something that we don't see. So an interesting talent build coming out of him right now. And Ancestral Healing already having to be used in this team fight. So a lot of big abilities being used here. Illidan does go down, and that is a big deal. They're down there. Illidan, a good Divine Storm. It looks like it was just a panic Divine Storm because Mad Timmy is getting chased down. Thankfully, level 13 is here. Diablo getting taken down in the bottom, though. Looks like the Jaina was able to pick him off here. ETC did stage dive in the back line. A good stage dive right there. That is going to secure the kill onto Spanker. And it looks like Synapsis is finally getting themselves into this match, and they are looking pretty good after that team fight right there. The next tribute is going to be a big one, though, because it's a curse for either one of these teams.
Yep, the next one is going to decide it. Who is going to get cursed? As we see the team of Murlocs taking away, yet again, their hard camp. They've had great mercenary control this game. It started off with the easy at 2 minutes. That then led to them getting some lane pressure while there was a tribute. Followed by the Bruiser camp. And then straight after their their first tribute of the game, sorry, they took their hard camp. Bot 4 is going to be the first to fall of this game, and it's going to go in the favour of Synapsis, so really getting some pressure down after that team fight that went so greatly in their favour.
Yeah, looking at the numbers here, Rhaegar, not surprisingly, has the most healing. Jaina is being the #1 damage dealer across the whole entire board here with about 18,500 damage. So Jaina's kind of the one that's kind of in the back line, and this Q build coming out from Raynor looks like it's been paying off pretty well, and especially now that he has level 13, he gets 2 charges. He's going to be able to hit 3 of them back to back. They got to be careful here because there was a party bush right there. Clown went ahead, putting on his clown shoes, popping the Metamorphosis. A lot of heroics being used here, but neither team wants to commit too hard. There's a commitment. Caterpillar's caught in the backline. He's going to get absolutely destroyed. And Stretcher Healing being used a little bit prematurely onto Hawkfu, but I feel like that's okay because they are already up in this team fight. However, Murlocs Inc. were able to secure the curse, but now that they're down 2 men, I don't know if they're going to be able to do much with this curse. I feel like that really wasn't a good trade for them at all.
No, it's going to be the mercenaries that are going to do more than Murlocs themselves. It's taken this mid fort down to about 2/3 of HP. They're able to get top fort as well in here. So the minions doing a little bit of damage. They're in fact rotating towards bot, trying to catch out the ETC. They're going to get a significant amount of damage on, but it won't be enough. They should be able to follow up though by grabbing the forts. That'll be 2 forts falling? Yeah, they weren't able to get mid. So 2 forts for Murlocs. But even so, they're still behind on XP because these team fights have been going so greatly for Synapsis. And in fact, there's another one in mid lane. Caterpillar taking quite a bit of damage, but they return it onto Protege.
And Stretcher Healing is up in 2 seconds, but it's going to be too late as the Breath Fire is just going to absolutely just light him up. 2 going down for for Synapsis right now. ETC, unfortunately, stage diving at not the best time. Unfortunately, his rhythm wasn't the best time. They weren't in sync together. Looks like it's, of course, the bassist and drummer's fault anytime anything is out of tune. And so that is going to be Yuki, the percussionist in the backline, is going to get taken out here. And a full 5-man team wipe going the way of Murlocs Inc. Murlocs Inc. were kind of just, the past 2 or 3 team fights have not been going their way, but unfortunately, a little bit of a miscommunication and a misstep from Synapsis. Murlocs Inc. just jumped on that immediately, and now they're in a great position. They have level 16. As you can tell, they're going to retreat back to this boss. That boss is going to be knocking on these tier 2 towers in the top lane and just securing themselves a strong mid-game, but more specifically, with that level advantage, that means they're going to get an earlier level 20 as long as they keep this up.
Does indeed. And again, we're not really seeing too many interesting talents. The imposing presence again on the Uther, going up against a Reyna, but again, Reyna going for more this Q build, as you said, confident aim, followed by hamstring, then double-barreled, gains 2 charges, and bullseye to finish things off there. First enemy here is stunned for 1 second and takes 50% more damage. So that again, they're just revolving around bursting this Illidan up. Polymorph.
Yeah.
Into penetrating round. Into, by then he should probably be dead. It's just what
yeah, especially now that level 16 is here and critter size is on the map. That Illidan is just gonna, I mean, if he commits a little bit too hard or makes a big misstep, he's just gonna get absolutely destroyed. Down here by the boss though, Brightwing just, gets an Emerald Wind off, but unfortunately the winds were not on their back right now. They're fighting into choke point right now. Clown is going absolutely ham, just tearing him apart. He doesn't care if he's about to die. And once again, a full 5-man team wipe going the way of Murlocs. That was just a quick 1-2 punch to knock the entirety of Synapsis down. They're going to backdoor this, taking a page at a Symbiote Gaming rip, taking this bottom keep. And, I mean, are they going to go for the fourth here,
end it. Yeah, they are looking to end it. Mad Timmy, though, having to keep himself healed up. The boss is taking top keep. Uther will fall, but they don't need Uther when they have these 4 members. Archon being popped for the added attack damage here. It's looking like it's going to be a GG, and how the tide can change so quickly. You really thought after the fight around the 5th tribute mark that this was going to be a game where Synapsis had a really good chance at coming into this one and making it 1-1, but after that one fight, it just shows you how even so early on, 13 minutes in, one fight can really win a game.
So Murlocs Inc., they were on the back foot for the good first 5 to 10 minutes of that match. Synapsis was looking a little bit more fluid in the team fights, but the moment they hit those level 16 talents, they just absolutely, I mean, both of those last team fights, man, it was a full 5-man wipe, 5-0 ace. And in the team fights, were just in a matter of seconds. The positioning from Synapsis just wasn't there. They were fighting in those choke points and were just getting absolutely torn up. Metamorphosis on top of a breath fire just absolutely destroyed them. So well done to Murlocs Inc. They are going to take the easy 2-0, sweeping up Synapsis. But don't worry, Synapsis still has plenty of opportunities. This is a long season we got going, guys. This is going to go all the way until the May. So this isn't a sprint. It is definitely more of a cross-country pace we got going right now here, Haas. And thank you so much for hanging out with me, man. It's always a pleasure to cast with you. Unfortunately, Haas does live on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean for most North Americans. So he does have to go to sleep, as he's a very busy man and has more important things to do in the morning. So thank you for hanging out with me, man. Any final thoughts you want to say before you go?
It's great as always to be here. I really do enjoy casting NA. I've put so much time into doing it just in the past 3 days. As I said, really enjoy it. And it was unfortunate this game was a 2-0. But Synapsis, they've got a good, I think, 10 weeks. It might be a little bit less than that.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, to get themselves back up. As you said, they're a reasonably new team, so they've got a lot of time to improve and iron out their kinks and get in here and really enforce themselves upon this NA HPL. Again, thanks for having me on. It's great being here. If anyone wants to follow me, it's Hosselot on Twitter, HOSSELOTE. And yeah, I shall see you whenever I hop over across the pond virtually for the next time.
Thank you, Haas. So right now, Murlocs Inc. showing off. They have a little bit more experience, a little bit more class in this best of 3 over Synapsis. Synapsis, though, of course, anytime you have a new team with a new roster, obviously they're not all going to be on point. Unfortunately, they still got to get a little bit more of that synergy down with them, but we will be seeing them again very, very soon. Best of luck to them deeper into this tournament. Once again, guys, I am Shane Gucher. Haas, thank you so much for hanging out with me. We're going to have a surprise co-caster coming up here when we come back, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to take a small break. The next match we are going to have here is going to be the actions per minute, formerly RGE. It's going to be actions per minute versus the Brazilian team of FKC of Vultures. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be back in just a moment.